This episode is not the same as the others. Although I'm in my usual Minecraft world, this is not the usual video, for I'm combining two of my favourite topics, musicals and games. The title of this episode, The Magic of the Musical, I'm sure you can hear and see, is going to discuss the magic behind the backing songs and choreography of the musical theatre, films and TV series' world, with a video every last Sunday of the month. We're going to start with one of the most popular Disney musicals of all time, Mary Poppins and its sequel, Mary Poppins Returns. Now, most of the songs in these films, such as A Spoonful of Sugar and Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, believe it or not, that's not come under a spell check in my script, interestingly. We can say that these can quite easily be put down to magic, because Mary Poppins herself is someone who is magic. It's stated in the books by P.L. Travers, which is, believe it or not, where the films were based off, that her powers are communicating with the natural world, and that powers is given to babies, but the power seems to leave the babies at the age of 1. However, these powers remained with Mary, which makes her the great exception. As a result of this, we can assume her powers include making music appear from thin air, and this could potentially be because sound is just the movement of air, and Mary Poppins is sometimes seen to have some control over air because she's got magic flying powers, and she can also make all of the other potential nannies for the Banks household fly away in possibly one of my favourite special effects moments in all of cinematic history, because it just looks so entertainingly ridiculous. It could also be because her powers are just to be bringing imagination to life, and babies are occasionally known to experience hypnagogic, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but that word, hallucinations, which is when you imagine music during the period of beginning to fall asleep and actually being asleep, which is really weird, normally manifests in the form of piano music, and adults hear it too. But either way, I think we can chalk these songs down to magic. Other songs like this will include A Cover Is Not the Book and Let's Go Fly a Kite, for instance. Though that one less so, because she is there and singing a bit of it, but it's mainly sung by everyone else. Now we're going to find ourselves on the other end of the spectrum with the Banks family. Mr. Banks acts as a foil of sorts to Mary Poppins. While she is kind and kooky and rather marvellously chaotic, Mr. Banks is stern with his wife and children, though for the time not unreasonably so. He's well presented and distinguished. He prides himself on his order of which he leads his life, which will lead us right onto his song about those topics.
I feel a surge of deep satisfaction, much as a king astride his noble steed. Thank you. When I return from daily strife to hearth and wife, how pleasant is the life I lead.
Here we are very much breaching the world of canon and approaching the world of theorising about the music. And for someone who seems to despise Mary's way of thinking, it's my belief that he would not usually be making songs appear out of thin air. So, my theory is that when Mary Poppins is around, the whimsy of each person is increased like tenfold, and that results in music and lyrics seemingly appear out of thin air. This is in a world where whimsy is a measurable substance that I have named, because that is fundamentally what Mary's magic seems to work off. Everything that she does is just filled to the brim of whimsiness. For instance, making a bag seem like it was infinitely expanding because she pulled a coat rack out of a bag and sliding up the banister of a staircase. Anyway, got off track. So we have Mary increasing whimsy, which leads to music appearing out of thin air. Now, we know that at the point of Mr. Banks's song, which is The Life I Lead, that Mary Poppins is around because at the beginning of the film, Bert, who we will get onto later, was singing to a crowd of people and he noticed something in the air, and to quote him, he said, "Something is brewing, about to begin," which could in theory mean anything. But he also says he has a feeling that this has all happened before. And after the events of Mary Poppins Returns, where everything that happened in the first film happened again, we can assume this is not Mary's first rodeo, and that she could potentially even be centuries old. Thus, we can guess that the thing that is brewing and about to begin is Mary Poppins is about to turn up. Now, you might ask, Ches, why do they not sing for the whole film then? And the very simple answer of that is that the Banks family and most people in London and the world alone simply do not have enough whimsy with them. And since we're assuming that whimsy is a measurable juice, we have the Banks family has very low whimsy levels, whereas a Baby and Mary Poppins, since their powers are apparently in the same place, because I guess in this world babies have magical powers, they just don't know how to use them. But in this area, Mary Poppins and babies have like maximum whimsy levels. So I reckon that alongside Mary Poppins being a catalyst of sorts for whimsy, that the whimsy levels can increase and decrease depending on someone's mood, and when they're particularly passionate about something, such as Mr. Banks being proud of his upper class lifestyle, that makes their whimsy levels increase, which will result in song and music. And that's a wonderful, wonderful thing because they get lost in the music quite literally. And you will wonder why it's not confusing to them, but I'm going to get to that later. Next, we have the other member of the Banks family, who is our suffragette queen, Mrs. Banks, who is so lost in the whimsy of the women's right movement, although it's not the most whimsical thing in history. It's very interesting, would recommend researching it. She's so lost in her passion for it that music starts appearing. And not just that, but her cooks and her maid also join her.
The shackles of yesterday, shoulder to shoulder into the...
And such a heightened whimsy appears that they can harmonise at the end of the song.
And they'll sing in grateful chorus. Well done!
After the maid and Ellen, who I think is the cook from memory, join her song and they're all singing and dancing together. Now, it's worth noting that the lady in black, who was not singing but trying to get Mrs. Banks's attention, she was unnamed, so we'll just go for the lady in black here. She was not walking or speaking in time to the music, which suggests that her whimsy levels simply just weren't high enough to warrant the music bending to fit her voice. And an extra fun fact, the actor for Mrs. Banks, Glynis Johns, I've probably butchered her name there, was specifically asked to play that role as the Sherman brothers, who wrote the Mary Poppins songs, had written the Sister Suffragette songs specifically for her, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Now, I told you that I'd get back to you on why the Random Burster song is not confusing to them, and that's simply is because they forget. All they remember is having a good time, a little bit like when you get very drunk. Of course I wouldn't know about that, and you forget a lot of stuff that happened, but you remember that you had a blooming good time. And we know that they will forget this in a similar manner because the balloon seller at the finale of Mary Poppins Returns states to Mary, of course the grown-ups will all forget this in the morning, and Mary responds with, they always do. Thus we can suggest that all grown-ups who don't have a high enough whimsy level forget absolutely everything when it's happened, after the magic has happened, and just remember that the vibes were really good. Penultimately, I bring to you the in-between people who have enough whimsy to remember magic and harness the catalyst that Mary Poppins is, and boosting the whimsy levels of the land. On a side note, I would like to be entertained by the fact that in typing this script, I couldn't spell in between correctly first time, but somehow I spelled penultimately correctly first time. So do with that what you will, be shocked, because I am too. The people who have these in-betweeny whimsy levels are those who are like the chimney sweeps, the Learys or lamplighters, the balloon seller, and of course our timeless friend Bert. These people, it's often said, have broken free of the boring hubbub of life that the Banks family has not, and they've seen the lights peeking through the clouds, or in my terms, simply just have a higher whimsy level than normal people. This means that although they can't create music just randomly, they know that Mary Poppins allows them to, and they remember it because they remember magic. That's why songs such as Step in Time and Triple of Light Fantastic have far more elaborate choreography, and the Chimney Sweeps, for example, are more enthusiastic than others simply because they expected the music and they were excited for it. We can assume that these in-betweeners can't make music on their own, as in the first film, Bert, who is commonly known as one of the whimsiest in-betweeners in the entire franchise, is seen entertaining some of the locals by being a one-man band in an incredible feat of musical talent. I mean, the man's playing a cymbal, a horn, a drum, a trumpet, and about everything else under the sun. Like, good on him. Anyway, so he's being this one-man band, and then if he could make his own music, why would he be a one-man band? There is no point. And you might go, oh, but it's possible that Bert just wanted the adults to remember it, so they would pay him for stuff, because at the end of the day, a chimney sweep's not particularly lucrative and he does still need to survive. But the adults are perfectly conscious during the magical period. They just forget it afterwards, and they might forget, I'm not really sure what happened, but my money was well worth spent on it. Of course, this is all theory, so we don't really know. I'm guessing. But yeah, that is what holds up my theory in this. We've covered why they have more elaborate choreography and why they can't make their own music. However, if we go to some of the other songs, such as the Balloon Seller's song in the finale of Mary Poppins Returns, which is There's Nowhere to Go But Up, this song is sung in the presence of Mary Poppins and has a much larger effect on people than any other song, because it's not just affecting other in-betweeners, such as the Chimney Sweeps and the Learys, but it's infecting a lot of non-believers, which consists of an entire street of people. I believe Cherry Tree Lane was the entire street, and also a couple of dogs, and this seems to make them fly with balloons effortlessly. And this, I choose to believe, is because not only they were with Mary Poppins, but they were at a classic British fair. And if you've ever been to a classic British fair, it's one of the most whimsical places you will ever see, resulting in a much larger effect by the music. It's also possible that these people have the ability to remember because of what they symbolise. A balloon seller clearly symbolises joy, because who's ever been particularly upset by a balloon? The lamplighters are literally a light in the dark. and chimney sweeps were said to be good luck if you shook hands with them or blew them a kiss. Hence, in the song Chim Chim Cheree, you have the lyrics, or blow me a kiss and that's lucky too, and good luck will rub off if I shake hands with you, which is sung by Bert. So that's another potential reason that they're in-betweeny. There's two other people who I haven't covered just yet, or one other group of people. Now, the first person is a lady whose name, and I'm going to absolutely butcher this. That's my chair creaking as I lean forward to look at it. Anastasia, got that right. Kositori Topotrepolowski, also more commonly known as Topsy. And then we have Uncle Albert. Topsy is in Mary Poppins Returns, and Uncle Albert is in the original Mary Poppins. And these are the family of Mary Poppins herself. Now, it's said in the books that all of Mary Poppins' family retained some form of babyish whimsy, resulting in some abnormal traits, such as, in Uncle Albert's case, floating when you laugh too much, or having an eccentric ability to look at something from a different angle, such as Topsy does. Granted, the only reason she does this is because every second Wednesday her life is turned upside down and back to front, as is stated in her song Turning Turtle, one of my personal favourites.
Fast is slow, low is high, stop is go, and that is why every second Wednesday is a hurdle.
But regardless, it seems that these people have these weird abilities, which Mary Poppins has all of, because she is the great exception. She retained all of her babyish whimsy, and they retained some of those powers, and not just that, but they seem to be able to pass it on to other people. For instance, when the Banks family in Mary Poppins Returns went into Topsy's workshop, they also saw everything upside down and back to front. And when the children and Bert in the original Mary Poppins film were with Uncle Albert, they began floating when they were laughing too. And then that promptly led to them having a tea party on the ceiling, as you do. Now, it's possible that all these people can't make musicals and can only do it when Mary is around, the same way that others do. But I reckon that since the second lowest use of whimsy is music, after of course remembering magic, these irregular humans who have the whimsy gene can make music the same way that Mary Poppins does. And the reason I say it's the second lowest use of whimsy is because, well, normal humans can do it. When Mary Poppins is around, everyone else can do it. You don't see all of the other members of the cast flying around the same way that Mary Poppins does. You only see them doing that when either Mary Poppins is in the room present and seems to have let them do that, such as in the song A Spoonful of Sugar, when they're snapping their fingers to make everything tidy away faster, which I really wish I could do myself. And can you imagine doing the dishes if you could just snap your finger and they're clean? To get out of my reverie there. I believe that because of that, they can make musicals, and this could potentially explain some other fun theories, such as maybe that's where flash mobs come from. I don't know, it's possible. I also think that they both embody different aspects of a babyish whimsy, and Uncle Albert, I think, is laughter, because when he laughs he floats, and babies, last time I checked, babies can't fly. Maybe they can. And Topsy, I think she got a bit of a curse with her one, because hers is, I think, miscoordination. Babies can't coordinate themselves very well, and neither can Topsy every second Wednesday because, as she says, up and down, north is south. I can't remember the rest of the lyrics.
Fast is slow, low is high, stop is go, and that is why every second Wednesday is a hurdle.
And it's also for this reason that I reckon that the balloon lady is a family member of Mary, because she has magic balloons that seem to possess an innate ability to make things fly. And she's the only other normal human being who we've seen able to do that, so I reckon she's not a normal human being. She is an irregular person with the whimsy gene. On top of that, to reference her to the babyish traits the same way we did the others, I expect that she has the empathy that comes with a baby. You know how babies tend to be able to tell if someone's vibes are a little bit off, similar to the way that animals can. I'm getting very loosey-goosey here, since, well, I've never spent extended periods of time with a baby. But from what I understand, some babies are very good at telling if someone's a bit off and nice, and I think that's what the balloon lady can do, because she says with her balloons, if you see your reflection, your heart will take flight. And I think that's incredibly important. She's showing that her balloons can basically read your soul, and if you pick the balloon that reads your soul right, you're going to fly. And if you've got a dirty, rotten soul, like the bank person who wasn't very nice, your balloon will simply just plummet, as his did, which is also quite an entertaining moment in cinematic history. That, I think, rounds off all the songs and characters in the franchise. I'm sorry it was a bit scatterbrained, but it's my first time doing this. I hope you all enjoyed it. If I missed anything, please comment. I'd love to hear your ideas. And if you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It makes me feel warm, happy feelings inside. I hope your day is practically perfect in every way, and check out my Minecraft videos for more content. I will see you in a month. I have been Chesborgum9893. Thanks for watching. Bye.